Today on the show is Shawna Roch, founder of Shawna Roch Solutions, which is a rent-owned company that joint ventures with aspiring homeowners to help them safely transition from renting to owning. Shawna is also a contributing author of the groundbreaking new book, The Home Seller's Bible, for homeowners, agents, and investors. Shawna, welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much, Mark. This is exciting to be here today.
Well, it's great to have you. And also great to have you as a contributor on this unbelievable book, The Home Seller's Bible. You're pretty excited that we're launching it now.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I mean, it was a great collaboration with all the authors, and yeah, it's pretty exciting for me. It's my first book.
It is pretty cool. First of many, I hope.
Yeah.
Shawna, why did you say yes to this project? I mean, I'm so glad that you did. Rent to own, as when we first met, can be a very dangerous place to go. There's a lot of predatory rent to own deals out there where they are heavily sided on the favor of the investor, and the person who just wants to buy their first house aren't always able to, and they end up with the short end of the stick. Now, what had me interested and really excited about having you participate in the book is that you are the safe place to go so that somebody can not get taken advantage of and have a win-win scenario. So what was your your vision for contributing with the book, and what was your why for contributing?
My why for contributing, that's a good question. When we first met, and we were actually just talking about real estate and kind of like your background and my background, and then when you brought the opportunity with the book forward to me and we started talking about it, my why, what was going through my head at the time was like, wow, what an amazing opportunity to reach out to people there, because there are so many people that, can't qualify for a mortgage and do need some help, and, a couple, 2, 3 years, 4 years to get their credit back on track. And like you said, there are situations where some people aren't doing the rent to owns, like I would call it the professional way, and could take advantage of people. And so for me, it was important because I had done a couple Facebook Lives on predatory lending.
Right.
And so my big why was to get out there that rent to own is actually a beautiful strategy if it's done right, with the right investors. And at the end of the day, it's so amazing when you can help these families get into their forever homes.
Now, each rent-to-own business owner like yourself only has so much capacity before they have to start bringing in joint venture partners, that sort of thing. Do you have room right now for any clients if somebody wanted to transition from renting to owning?
Yes, I do. Actually, I've teamed up with a couple different investors.
Okay.
And so we work together on the projects. And for me, they come in because, like I said, I've already qualified for so many homes myself. And then I do need to bring in investors as far as money partners and people who now can qualify for the credit as well. I've also, because, excuse me, for myself, I resigned from my day job in September. And so that kind of takes me out of the ballpark as far as qualifying for mortgages, because now I'm self-employed.
Right, yeah, it's a big difference, and those rules got a little less kind.
Yeah, exactly. So I do team up with other investors that I trust and that I work closely with one-on-one on my rent-own packages.
How far from the Calgary area can you go? Like, how far is your reach?
Well, I like to stay in southern Alberta right now, just because then that way I can drive, whether it's like Calgary, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, Red Deer, because I do have a property in Red Deer. And then I can meet with, then I can have one-on-one and build a relationship with the tenant buyers.
Right. And if somebody wants to purchase up in, say, Edmonton, do you have partners up there that you can steer them in the right direction?
Yes, I do. I do have people up in Edmonton I know that I can set them up with.
Okay, perfect. And you've been really active with other ancillary courses. Have you always been this self-help girl that's trying to be the better me as much as you can, or is this a new thing? What was sort of the catalyst for that?
Well, I did some self-help courses years ago, but I've been in the HVAC industry for 25 years, and I was really focused on my job. And every organization that I worked for, I was one of the top salespeople. So I've always been very driven and an overachiever, very motivated to be the best. And I traveled a lot with my job as well. And over the last, years, taking my real estate courses and so on and so forth, I wanted to take all the courses to learn all the strategies and then decide which strategies to go with from there. And then it just from there, I went on a women's trip last April, just before we met. I just come back from my trip, actually, when we met. And it was my first ever women's retreat. And it was absolutely amazing. I met 18 wonderful women that I spent a week with, and there was 5 different coaches there. And I'd never had an actual coach before. I've always just kind of, done me. And so it was kind of nice meeting these coaches, and then their programs that they had to offer. I was just like, oh my goodness, there's this amazing world out there. And so I came back and kind of went on a mission of taking, signing up for all their different programs. I did a 10-week online speaking program.
Oh, wow. How did that go?
It was really good. That was kind of the start part of it. The next part of it, from there, I can do like a live program, and so I think I'm going to go down the road with taking the live and seeing where I can go from there. My big passion right now is being a female in a male-dominated industry for a lot of years. There's always, of course, extra challenges.
Right.
And there's a lot of women out there who I call powerhouse women. I have started my own Facebook group called Powerhouse Women. It's women empowering women. And I'm all about right now helping women just step outside of their comfort zone and being the best they can be and following their dreams. And so that was part of my motivation, like to taking the speaking program, was for me stepping out of my comfort zone and then to become a speaker and motivate women, as well as, one of my other programs I took this summer was a manifesting course.
Oh, wow.
And it was something I've always wanted to do. And it was really interesting that most of my life I had been manifesting stuff. I just didn't realize I was doing
not the
it.
stuff you want necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's life. It's such a mindset. It becomes your mindset. And when you're thinking certain thoughts, you tend to bring more of those thoughts on. So it was really eye-opening for me. And from there, then I'm taking a certification program for to be a coach.
Okay.
The Universal Laws coaching program. And so I'll be looking forward to I'm working right now on setting up a coaching business for that. And then as well, I took a practical numerology course. So down the road, I wanted to start doing blueprints on numerology. So I really got into numerology. And yeah, it's just I just recently took went for my first Reiki session in August, and then a week later did a Reiki level 1 course, and yesterday I just did my Reiki level 2, and so a lot of self-healing, and just finding out, coming from a place of love versus fear, and just trying to be the best me I can be right now, and that's kind of been where I'm going. And I, like I said, I resigned from my job in September because I'm on such a path of personal growth that it was time for me to just kind of break free and do my own thing.
When did it start? When did this personal growth, when did you kick it into overdrive?
I kicked it into overdrive I would say it was the beginning of May.
Beginning of May.
Yeah.
So you're all in all at once.
Yeah.
You're just giving her.
Very much so.
Do you find that it's a bit of a challenge, a bit of an oxymoron almost, to be within the corporate environment, to have a job and to be your best? Can you do both?
I think it depends. It really does depend, because it depends where you're at in your life and where your mindset is as well. Because, I loved my job. I loved my contractors I worked with. It was also an environment where, there's always, like negative stuff will come up and issues and so on and so forth. And when you're really, for me, there was such a big difference in where I was at that point in my life and where I was going. Mm-hmm. That I found it difficult to mesh the two together. So I just talked with my husband and made the decision that it was time to resign from my job and focus on, on my real estate business, my coaching business. I also started like a digital marketing business. So a few other things on the go that I just that I really am passionate about and wanted to see where I go at this stage of my life.
Are you familiar with crab bucket theory?
No.
So the story of the crab, a young boy sitting on the boat, and his dad told him to watch the bucket of crabs. Why, Dad? Just watch the damn bucket of crabs, all right? So he's watching the bucket of crabs, and he did notice that one of the crabs kept trying to escape. And just as it was about to escape the bucket, the other crabs would reach up and grab it and pull it back in. And so after watching this happen all day, so what did you notice? And said, well, this other crabs wouldn't let the one crab that was smart enough to get out of the bucket, wouldn't let him go. It was the weirdest thing. And he says, that's right, son, and that's life. As you try to grow, there's going to be others always trying to pull you back into the bucket so that you don't exceed them, so that you don't do things that make them feel small. As you were crawling out of your bucket, was anybody trying to pull you back in?
Yes.
There's a couple of names that pop into your head, I would imagine.
That definitely happens. Yes, it does. Yeah. And it's for me, it's been like that a lot of my life, just because I have been so motivated and driven and being in a male-dominated industry, that when, as a female and being very successful, when you're always trying to, reach for the top, and there's always been that exact analogy.
Yeah, I'm experiencing that right now, but it's and we always will, as we're trying to grow, as we're trying to do something bigger and better. Yeah. This very podcast, I have some detractors, people that are poo-pooing it, and the book as well. Yeah. But that is always going to be the case. Yeah. And it's a really good sign that you're onto something good. And the more pushback you get from people going, book, it's a little book. How many pages is it? Is it a little book? And they're trying to shit on your book, and or a show like this, or whatever it is that a person wants to do. You're going to have those detractors, but it's always the same reason. Yeah. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're not high enough at the top of the pyramid to be a supporter instead of a detractor. The reason they're being a detractor is because you are threatening their ego. And all we're trying to do is our best. Yeah. And trying to have some fun. This is a short ride on this rock, and just trying to not waste this time that we were given, because we don't know how much we have.
Yeah. Oh, that is so true. And the fact that you said that, it is just so true. And you got to be so proud of yourself, what you put together with this book. Sorry.
Yes, these condenser mics are pretty sensitive. You've been kicking the table a little bit with your nerves.
My first time. But yeah, you got to be proud of yourself, Mark, because the book and your podcast, like just what you've accomplished too. It's amazing. And I love success stories. And I'm just so, that's just the thing when you said ego, and that's been my big thing this whole past 5 weeks, is one of what's really kind of stuck in my head is when thoughts come in, it's like, hey, ego, love you, I hear you, go sit in the corner for a while. Heart's going to take over because she knows what, heart knows what she wants, and not let those thoughts get to you. And that's exactly it. When people are, jealous and insecure, and, and they look at you and they're like, oh, I wish I could be like that. And, the certain things, and their ego takes over. And that's exactly it. And to have the mindset to say and think about it and go, you know what? That's okay. That's where they are. This is where I am. This isn't going to detract me. I'm going to keep on going and being the best I can be.
It sounds like you're referring to the Eckhart Tolle framing of ego, not the Freudian ego. You read Eckhart Tolle's books?
No, I haven't.
Well, I think you might enjoy them. You're reminding me of A New Earth. A New Earth is, the bulk of it is on ego, and he frames it as just like the old Roadrunner cartoons. There'd be the devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other shoulder. Well, he frames that in a similar way, and the devil is your ego, and the angel on your shoulder is your higher self. Trying to say, yeah, that might be fun, but it might not be a good idea. You're gonna regret it. Come to the light. And so he frames the ego as a demon, as an actual beast, a sentient beast that feeds off of negativity, that feeds off of fear and sorrow and anger. And the more you feed the beast, the stronger the beast gets. Yeah. And that's how you go into a downhill spiral. And it's funny, the people that are accused of having a giant ego, I don't know if I'm guilty, but I've been accused. Hope I'm not guilty. The same people that are accused are often, it's exactly the opposite. Yeah. It's their insecurities. Ego is the root of all assholes.
Yeah, there you go. Hey,
It really is. That's my Markinism for the day.
I love it.
Ego is the root of all assholes, and it is, which is why, for the most part, although it's not always easy, if somebody's being a dick,
Yeah.
I actually feel bad for them, or if they're even if they're being mean to me, I just distance myself and I feel bad for them because I know what it is. The number one human emotional need is affirmation. And when you're not getting it, ego kicks in and starts pouting. And I want my affirmation. Give me my affirmation. And if it doesn't get it, it starts acting up and causes all kinds of chaos in your life.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
And
As you were saying that, it made me think of how, I love that. Because even for me, years ago, I don't know, about 5 years ago, I was going through some stuff at work. And it was interesting because my sister-in-law, she lives in Cold Lake, and so they came and visited us for a weekend, and we were chatting away, and I was kind of, having that moment, you're having a glass of wine, and you're just like, okay, this is what's been going on, and you're really upset. And then she turns around, she looks at me, and she's like, you know what, Shawna, kind of like deal with it because you have a personality that's larger than life. And this is going to come at you all the time.
Yeah,
and
it's just the way it is.
It was so interesting because, it stuck in my head because I always just looked at myself, well, I'm just me. Like, why are people intimidated and scared by me? Like, I'm me. Like, and my husband would always say, oh, my God, you got a heart the size of Texas. And I'm like, yeah, well, other people think I'm blah, blah, blah. And it was really funny.
They don't talk about my heart.
Yeah, exactly. It was funny because I was just recently at an event called Shine Live. And there's, I think, 180 women in Kelowna. And it's put on by Chantel Adams, a beautiful event. So all these women come together, and there's entrepreneurs. They're all entrepreneurs, and there's 23 speakers. And this one lady got up and talked, and she was she was like this adorable lady, and she had this really, really tiny voice. And her name's Nadia Finer, and she wrote a book. What was it called? Small Voice, Big Business.
Small Voice, Big Business.
Yeah, and she's so amazing. And after talking with her, she was like, you know what? Take that one thing that like for her, it was her little voice that, people made fun of her whole life. And then she took it and she made something so big out of it. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah. And then I said to her, I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my larger than life personality and I'm just going to make something of it. And I'm going to go with it. And, I'll just it is what it is. I am who I am. Take it or leave it. Like things don't get to me anymore like that. I don't let it get in. It's like, this is who I am. So
I've always been fascinated with the rarest of breeds, the late bloomers, of which I consider myself one. Still recovering. I was doing really well, social status wise and financially wise, about 10 years ago, and then it all came crashing down. 2011, lost everything. And I thought, all right, here we go. This is going to be a hill and a half.
yeah.
And in rebuilding, what's interesting is you're not really starting from zero. You're not, because there is something out of what you went through that if you don't whine about it, if you look for the good bits and don't hang on to the bad parts, it's like, wait a second, I am older and wiser. Like, I'm way smarter and more confident, and I can do a better job of it this time. Better, faster, more solid, more stable, more sustainable, and more enjoyable. And that's part of what this podcast is. If I'm going to be building my real estate business, I'm still a realtor, but the more exposure I can get with this, the more people are familiar with me, the more people that are more likely to go, yeah, I saw you there. You're not a complete dick. Maybe I'll consider you as a realtor. Oh, thanks. But and that's it. Like, anything that you can do to increase your brand, whether it's this show, it doesn't matter if it's directly related or not. It's relevant. Case in point, Dr. Jordan Peterson. Do you follow his work at all?
No, I haven't.
So Jordan B. Peterson, he's an Alberta boy from Valley View, Alberta.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, he's a local yokel, small town guy, and he's a late bloomer. Well, sort of sorts, as far as fame is concerned. I mean, he's been a very successful guy, but he wasn't discovered until he was like 54.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, because of a bit of controversy and a couple of things that he was saying about transgender folks, not mean stuff, but of course it was reported as mean stuff. It's like, no, it's not mean stuff. He became very controversial, and people started bringing him on TV shows and podcasts and whatnot. I wish I had my podcast, but I could have got them when you could still get them.
That would've
You
been
can't
good.
get them anymore. And although I did put in a request, so fingers crossed. Jordan Peterson, if you're watching, please be a guest on the Meincke Show podcast. But this tour that he's doing, everything that he does, and they're talking about everything from transgenderism to identity politics, Trump, because who doesn't talk about him? But his book, The 12 Rules for Life, is the #1 bestseller in the world.
Oh, wow.
Without talking about the book. Because you're interested in him. They're interested in what he has to say. And because of that, the book is just a natural transition. So he's not, just like I'm not directly going, hey, I'm the best realtor in town. I don't know if that's the truth, but I might be the nicest. We'll see. Your favorite local realtor, Mark Meincke. But through all of this exposure, or the Okotoks Business Association, which we still have to get you out to.
I know.
Still got to get out there. We're doing drinks, I think on the 12th or the 13th. We're doing an evening one. Make sure you're there for that one.
Yep, I'll be here.
Yeah, you betcha. So what's next with the book? You're talking about filling rooms and doing speaking gigs. Now, are you going to be doing that as the coach or as Shawna Roch? Is the book still going to be a useful tool for you?
Yes, the book will definitely still be a useful tool for me.
Okay.
Because I like the way it's called, like Home Seller's Bible. Whether or not, with my real estate investing, I still think it's a great tool for like anybody who owns a home or is thinking of buying a home, or like we said, like for even realtors or investors to read. So and because I'm proud of it. It's my first book. It's exciting, So whatever I do inside and out, like if I, coaching programs or standing up or whatever, like I will be promoting the book and telling everybody about the book, because I do think that it's so diverse for so many different people that it isn't just to, like for me to focus on with my Shawna Roch.
Right.
So it'll, I can use it in my Shawna Roch brand.
Right. So even as a coach, and you're not going to be a real estate investing coach necessarily, although you may be.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is that the lane that you're thinking of taking, or are you looking more at general life coach stuff?
Well, I'm kind of looking at both, because the thing is, when I started going down the road of all this personal growth, you kind of think, well, here's how I can go with it. But for me, what I'm kind of doing right now with the people I'm meeting and all the women out there is I'm putting myself out there, and I'm really empowering other women and talking with other women right now. I'm finding out what value I can bring to them.
Right.
And as I'm meeting more women, I've had some saying, you know what, I would love it if you could just, do like a little mastermind and teach us about real estate investing. And at the time, that didn't even really pop into my head. And so I can see like both lanes of where I'm going coming together.
Okay.
Because there are also a lot of women entrepreneurs who have been very successful, and they're coming to me again for advice on, on investing their money. As well as, there's also a lot of women I'm meeting that are, going through divorces and other things like that, where they're like, okay, tell me about your Renttoown program, because now I'm in a situation where, so both, they're kind of, my worlds are kind of coming together, and
it all works.
Yeah, it does all work. And it's interesting because a lot of women I know who are in this path, whether it's a spiritual path, a coaching path, like whatever path they've gone down, like I'm talking to them, and it's like been like a 2 or 3 year process to get to where they are and stuff. And so right now I'm kind of enjoying my journey and not stressing myself out over what do I need to put together, what kind of programs do I need to do, and so on and so forth. So I'm just kind of taking the time to absorb and sit back and go, okay, here's where I really want to go with it, because my mindset is completely different than it was 4 months ago.
Because of the courses you've been taking. Any particular course that you found was the big booster for you? Like, was it one standout of all the courses that you thought you got the most lift out of for where you were at that point in your life?
Well, it's a combination of all of them, because I've been working with like mindset coaches.
Okay.
And emotional healing coaches too. So it's been a combination of all of them, which is kind of why I did 5 things at once.
Right.
Because there was parts of where I was in my life that I was like, okay, yeah, I really need some guidance here. And for someone who never had a coach before, I was open to a lot of different things. And same thing like with my Reiki healing and so on and so forth. And like you were talking about Edgar, Hedcar, is it? Hedcar? I said it wrong.
Eckhart.
Sorry.
T. Harv Eckert.
T. Harv Eckert, thank you.
Yeah, the millionaire mindset.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't read that one. And a lot of the books that I've been reading lately are like Gabby Bernstein, The Universe Has Your Back, and Light is the New Black by Rebecca Campbell, and a lady in Calgary, oh my goodness, Casey, what's her last name? Susie Casey, Belief Repatterning.
Patterning.
Mm-hmm. So belief repatterning. So just like, and there is affirmations in there like you talked about. And it is about just really repatterning like your belief patterns and taking it from, old beliefs into new beliefs. And so I've been on such a journey of just finding out who I am and where I want to go, that right now I haven't really decided exactly specifically what I'm going to be putting out as far as coaching courses or programs or working one-on-one with people. Right now, I'm just, like I said, I'm just kind of enjoying the journey. And I'm thinking come January, I will kind of have more of laid out where I want to go, because I've been having people come to me and ask me different areas. Like I've had a few people come out to me lately and they're like, can you put on like a sales course of some kind and just teach us how to sell ourselves? Because we don't know how to sell ourselves. And I'm like, well, you're the value added. You have to, and so then you start talking to people, women for me, and it's like they're launching their own programs, but they don't believe in themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so they don't see the worth in themselves, and they don't see them as the value added, and that they're the ones building the relationship. And that's part of stuff that just comes natural for me. People are picking out and saying, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? So I've just been kind of taking notes and going, okay, there's a lot more stuff I can offer here. So now, like I said, it just takes some time for me to go, okay, here's where I can put something together. Here's where I can put something together. Here's where I can put something together. Okay, now let's run with it.
Coaching's an interesting field. I got my coaching license in 2011 or whatever. Never kept it up. I just did it as a personal development thing. I never actually planned on having a coaching business, but I was certified, got it on the wall and everything. But there was just something about it that wasn't grabbing me. So for yourself, you must be at the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because you're at the self-actuation bit at the top, where you're feeling pretty good about yourself and there's overflow from your cup, so you want to share. Mm-hmm. And is that accurate on why you want to coach? Because you want to share what you found and help others?
Yeah, very much so. My whole life, I've always wanted to help others in one way or another. Like even with real estate investing, there was like all these different strategies I took in so many different ways I could have went with it. But I really decided to specialize in Renttoown. My tagline is helping Albertans become homeowners. And I've always just had this need to help others in one way or another. And then to find out that, for me, I was kind of like, my life started at 50 for me, It was like as soon as I turned 50, I was just like, wow, I'm going off in this new direction.
Another late bloomer.
Exactly. Totally a late bloomer. And there's all these wonderful people I'm meeting that just my life experiences and my story can help them. And
you mean when you turn 50, right?
Yeah. You know what's funny? I'm so not hung up on age. So many people get hung up on age. It was like when I turned 30, it was like a big party. When I turned 40, I had friends like wanting to hide, and I said to my husband, "Oh, let's have a big barbecue, like have 100 people." And and same thing when I turned 50, it was just like, to me, I celebrate life, and it's a journey. And where I am today, I wouldn't go back. I totally, where I'm at today, I'm like, and so a lot of your mindset too is as you get older and as you learn different things, you handle things better. Not everything's life and death, and not everything's, I love my mindset where I'm at today. So
if you're going to get bit by a vampire, you wouldn't have wanted that to happen 10 years ago. Like now would be a good time. So any vampires out there that can put us in a suspended animation so we don't get any older, start chomping. I'll be an undead. No problem. Right about here. Have a good chomp.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's next for you then, Shawna?
What's next? Good question.
And why the Reiki? I wanted to circle back to that. Like with all the stuff you're going on, that's a little bit more direct and as far as personal development and wealth accumulation, and then Reiki, which I'm not making fun of, by the way. I'm actually a big Reiki fan. I enjoy Reiki treatments and cranial sacral. I respond quite well to it, so I'm a believer. But why that direction? It seems almost counteropposed to different business ventures.
Well, it's interesting. I never even really heard of Reiki before, like till 6 years ago, and I went and saw a spiritual healer that was advised to me through a friend, and it was when my dogs passed away, and I was having a rough go with it, and so anyway, and she was talking about Reiki, and I was like, oh, okay, and this goes back to the whole manifesting thing, and I kind of went okay, and then spent 3 days with her, and then she's like, oh my God, like you could do Reiki, you have healing hands, you have this, and I just kind of went, okay, it's the whole world, like I'm good.
What the hell are you talking about, witch doctor?
Totally. And that was like 6 years ago, and I laughed because at that point I was like, oh yeah, like I was intrigued by it, and I was like, oh yeah, in my 50s, I'm going to be a spiritual healer in my 50s, and I was joking around about it. And then this summer, I was reading several books, and the word Reiki kept coming up. And then I would hear people talk about Reiki, and I was like, you should go do a Reiki session.
It's like when you buy a new car, all of a sudden you look around, everybody's got the same damn car.
Exactly. So then I was like, I need to find a Reiki person. And so I Googled Okotoks because I live in Black Diamond. So I Googled Okotoks, and this amazing lady came up, Kara Marshall, and she's in an acreage right by my house. And she's a Reiki master, and she does lots of wonderful things. So I went to her house, and from the first moment I met her, I just felt this connection. And so yeah, I did the one Reiki, and we started really talking about Reiki and the healing, the healing side of it, like the energy work. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And so I decided to take my level 1 just to help for myself. And
that's what, about $300, $500, something like that.
Well, with her, she teaches classes, so it's like a couple $100.
Yeah.
I decided to do a private session because I just wanted to learn with just me there. So I think it was like $100 more to do a private session.
Okay.
So for my level 1, and then I was just working with her and doing a healing session like once a month. And then 2 weeks ago, I said to her, I want to do my level 2. I want to go to the next level with it. So for me, it's just really opening myself up to the universe, to energies coming in. It works with my whole manifesting, just everything. It's part of where I want to go, as far as like even working with my coaching program, and then working with women, because I've been hearing so much about Reiki now, and it's interesting because as I put up my Reiki level 2, people on my Facebook page are coming through and they're like, oh, you can do distance Reiki now, like sign me up. And
and there's something for all the people that are rolling their eyes right now, or maybe really thinking about hitting pause on this. As an interesting example, up north, I'm sure she won't mind me mentioning, but Trina Hodges, when she was young, was a Reiki practitioner. Reiki and I think reflexology as well. I can't remember. But anyway, she was definitely a Reiki master. And she ended up going into real estate. And that girl hit the ground running like unbelievable. And she's doing unbelievably well, like one of the top ones in the country kind of deal. Now she's partnered with a lady, Megan Moore, super nice girl, woman, I mean. And but she had her office, Trina Hodges had her office right across from mine at the Remax office up in Sherwood Park. And she'd say things like, I'm just opening up to the universe. I'm like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about? But obviously there is something to it, because holy smokes. I mean, I won't say what her income level is, but it's significant. It's not trivial. Yeah. She's doing extremely well. And more importantly, her clients freaking love her.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it's the same with Megan. Megan's great. But the clients absolutely love them. So instead of burning the field like so many did when Terry Pranich was in, I wonder what he was one of the biggest in the world, top 5 Remax guys in the whole planet at one point, which is freaking significant. And he's always bopped around in those elite echelons. But if I was to guess his repeat business rate, 15% maybe. Oh, wow. Would be my best guess. And Terry's free to correct me on that. I don't think he'd be too cranky. He's out of the business now. He's doing other things. But so around 15%, and I would bet that Trina and Megan are probably at like 75% retention, if not better. But that's also the choice. Just because somebody's a giant producer doesn't mean that there's somebody that you're going to be happy with to go back again and again and again.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was down to Reiki and law of attraction and opening up to the universe and all that sort of thing. So I try to be practical in my decisions to do this and to do that, but there's something to it.
Well, it is, and it goes back to like belief repatterning, and then also being open up. Because for me, I for a lot of years just very high energy, but very kind of also a nervous energy kind of thing. It was just like, oh, go, right? And now it's like, and people haven't seen me in 6 months that know me really well. They're like, oh my God, it's like I still have a lot of energy, but it's like calm and it's more controlled energy now.
Because cannabis is legalized now.
Actually, no, try that. I don't need it now. I got Reiki.
I'm good. Balanced right out.
I'm good. And it makes sorry, back to what we were saying, like, coming from a place of love. Mm-hmm. Versus ego and opening yourself up and your energies and your chakras coming in line. And this was all stuff that, 6 years ago, I was like, okay, whatever. But now that my life is where it is today, and that's why I'm so, I'm opening up to trying new courses and new programs. And, because for me, I'm like, hey, there's a whole world out there. Like, there's stuff that's intriguing me. So I'm just going for it. And it's, I have a girlfriend where she's like, you're like here, you're here, you're here, you're here, you're like everywhere. And I'm like, isn't that a typical woman? I was like, I don't know.
Juggling flaming chainsaws with a blindfold on. Like, isn't that just what the ladies do?
Yeah, like all the women in my life are like that. I said, but when you've lived as a woman for 25 years where it's been in a male environment, so you're thinking and a lot of your stuff is linear, and then it is like take action. You come up with the idea, so you create it, and then you take action on it. And it's just that's been my whole life. And now all of a sudden to be opening up to all these different opportunities, and like I said, I never even had a coach before.
So what were the benefits of being in a heavily male environment? If I heard you just right just now, you learned to be more action oriented. Was that a byproduct?
Yeah, I think. Well, for me, I grew up with 3 brothers.
Yeah,
and a dad with a welding shop. So I was heavily in male environment my whole entire life. Yeah. And then being and stuff comes back to like the belief repatterning to when you were a little kid. And so as a little girl, I'd been told over and over, well, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, why can't I do that? Well, because you're a girl. And so my whole, when you're young and you're told, I can't do that because you're a girl, you kind of get to a point where you're like, oh, no, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do it better than any boy. So
instead of letting it put the ceiling on you, you're like, screw you.
Yeah, totally.
Watch me go.
Totally.
And you used it as a fuel.
Yeah, I did. I used it as a fuel my whole entire life. And originally, for a lot of years, I wanted to be a hairstylist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I went to Nate, and I'm actually a journeyman hairstylist, a beautician. But then I was in a car accident, and when I was 21, I had to stop being a hairstylist because I hurt myself in 3 places, and I was told like I just couldn't do it anymore. It was not good for my back or my neck, so I had to figure out what I was going to do with my life.
Right.
So I was like, and I wanted to be her. Like when you want to be something since you're a little child, and then it's kind of taken away from you, it's like, okay, what am I going to do? And so went down another path, and then I ended up moving to Calgary, and then next thing you know, I ended up in the HVAC industry.
Where'd you move from?
From Edmonton.
From Edmonton, okay.
Yeah.
I'm one of those too.
Oh, there you go.
I used to think that it was more dangerous to wear Oilers gear in Calgary than it is to wear, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's the other way around. Nobody wears Flames gear in Edmonton. Nobody. Nobody cares about the CFL teams. They're not quite so passionate about it. But for hockey, you don't wear a Flames hat in Edmonton. But everybody wears Oilers hats down here. My kid does going to school. Nobody gives him a hard time.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why, because the Oilers suck so bad right now. God, they're just sucking it up. Flames are doing really well in the league right now. Mm-hmm. But I'd almost be worth my life admitting in Edmonton, Flames are my second favorite team. I'd be like, no, you're supposed to hate them. No, I don't. It's all Alberta still. They're my
Yeah.
second favorite team. If the Oilers are knocked out of the playoffs, it's then I'll secretly and quietly in a closet watching the game on my phone. Go Flames!
Go Flames. I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, but for me, um, so when I came to Calgary, I'd worked for a real estate appraisal firm in Edmonton for several years, and when I moved to Calgary, I just decided to try something new, and there was this opening in a company called Southampton Train at the time. Well, they're still called that. No, I think they're called something else now. Anyway, so I just started in the HVAC industry, you know, from the bottom, and then worked my way up, and I was in marketing, and I went to university in my 30s to take marketing, and then I moved into sales because I wanted to do sales. Then I was outside sales for years, and it was just interesting because I'd been so used to being around men that it was being in a male dominant industry didn't intimidate me at all.
Right.
And I always strived to be the best.
No matter what you're doing in business and even just generally in life, marketing and sales skills are useful.
Yeah.
Because it's just used wrong. It can be evil because I'm manipulating you, and
Yeah.
it can be gross and slimy. But used correctly, all you're doing is making a clear, concise point in a way that's understandable.
Yes.
That's it. Or at the higher level, being a good listener. It's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But marketing is about talking, and sales is about listening.
Yes.
But
Very much so.
yeah, and that's something that people conflate all the time. They don't understand that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And those skills are still helping you now with the ventures that you're in now.
Yeah, very much so.
What are you gonna do with the Reiki when you hit Reiki Master and all that? Are you just for fun, or
Well,
just something to do, just for the sake of doing it?
it started out, it has been for fun. And I had this conversation with Kara yesterday because she's like, now I have my Reiki too. I could open up a practice. And I kind of laughed because I was like, oh, I never really thought about that. So for now, it's just for me, my healing and my husband and, my friends and,
Yeah.
and then we'll see where it goes.
How many levels are there?
There's 3 levels.
There's 3.
Yeah. And then you become the master. And then as a master, you can teach Reiki.
Master Blaster.
Yeah.
Master Reiki Blaster.
Yeah, and I love. I'm very passionate about teaching.
Okay.
So that might be something I do down the road too, is become a master level so I can teach other people, and so yeah.
All right.
It's kind of like stay tuned with me.
Yeah.
And
You're like the weather in Alberta. If you don't like what you see, you wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, kind of. And it's just, I don't know. I'm just so loving life right now because there's so many amazing things out there. And there's days where I wake up and I'm like, cuddle with my dogs. It's like, what should mommy do today? What should I work on today? It's like,
World's your oyster.
totally.
Well, that beats the hell out of crawling out of bed and everything that you got just to go make a pot of coffee.
Yeah.
And that a big part of that is having a project.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a project, if you're not learning something, and then you're just dragging your ass out of bed every day, so whether somebody's a business owner or whether they have a job, find a project, something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You don't have to make any money at it. Just have a project.
Yeah.
Whether you're rebuilding a motorcycle in the garage or learning carpentry or knitting a sweater, it doesn't matter. But have something to do so that you can have that sense of accomplishment once it's done.
Exactly.
Or write a 273-page book. You can do that as well.
Yeah.
It's only takes 1,000 hours or so. Have at her.
Yeah. Exactly.
But the bigger the hill, the more satisfying once you get to the top.
Yes.
I'm still not climbing Everest, though. Screw that. I don't want to see all the frozen dead bodies all the way up. I'm like, whoa, little climber monuments all over the place. Are you an outdoors girl at all?
I have to kind of laugh at this. Yes and no.
Yes and no?
We used to do a lot of camping until we moved out to Black Diamond, and we would go hiking in the trails with our dogs, and then we came across some bears,
That'll do it.
and that scared the crap out of me.
Anybody get hurt?
And no, we were okay. And our dogs, thank God at the time, we could call them, they were off leash.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And they were Australian Shepherds. So they would have.
They want to herd the bears.
Yeah. So it was like.
And they're not scared either.
No. And so it was like, Rebel, Dixie, come. And then I trained them really well. So they came and we grabbed their collars and then we're walking around to go back to our fifth wheel. And it was funny after that. I just bought brand new hiking boots. And I kind of took them off. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. No, I'm good.
That's it. My wife would be exactly the same
I was
way.
terrified. And then every time now, like I had one of the other things I'm doing too is retreats.
Okay.
And so I had my first retreat this summer and I had it at my house. And we were going to go into the Sheep River Falls and go journal under the falls.
Cool.
Yeah, and I had this beautiful day planned out, but then the weather kind of changed. So we kind of went with the flow of the day. But I was laughing because that's the first time I would have been back out that area in a long time. But my husband had to laugh. He's like, oh, you want to go hiking with me out there? Would you go journal by the falls? I'm like, yeah, this is the new me.
As long as there's no bears, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Good. So I said to him, I said, oh, don't worry. I said, well, so with the girls, I said, there'll be more retreats coming. So yeah, that's definitely another thing I've got on the go too is retreats. And one of the things I'm kind of passionate about is I want to do couples retreats in Europe.
Oh, okay. And whereabouts in Europe?
I want to start with Tuscany.
Okay. Not a bad place to start.
Have a beautiful villa in Tuscany. Yeah.
That's next on the list.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
So it's another one of the programs I've been taking is a retreats program called Retreats Made Profitable. And it was the lady who had the retreat that I went to in April. Okay. She now teaches a course. So that's the other course I've been taking too. So there is definitely an opportunity.
Grass does not grow under the feet of Shawna Roch.
I know, it's so funny. As I say it, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds crazy. But
as you hear yourself out loud, and now you can hear yourself again and again and again as you go through the show.
But the cool part is, it's like, I'm looking at your wall there where it's got the tree and it says living life. And I'm like, I'm totally living my life and loving every minute of it.
Shawna, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being on. And this show, the Meincke Show podcast, will be on YouTube where you can find the entire collection. Also, select episodes will be shared on platforms for podcasts all over the place, from iTunes to Procast, every podcast that you can download an app for just about, specifically on Anchor.fm. So Anchor.fm is where you can find the Meincke Show podcast in audio format. And from Anchor, it gets pushed out to all the other platforms. Thank you for tuning in. The Meincke Show podcast. Doodle-doo.
Thank you.
Oh, my butt's numb.